How's it going, guys? So this is just a quick video before we start our walkthrough. It finally happened. I'm so happy. 2024 so far has been nothing but a pile of shit. We're gonna be completely honest. Just to start 2024, I ended up having a sinus migraine for like 2 days straight, so that wasn't goddamn fun. And then it snowed. And then it was like, I was just continuously grinding and grinding and grinding, trying to get that goddamn burr ruin. And usually I'll throw up Diablo 2 and then like I'll watch like a video if everyone's doing like 1,000 Kyros runs or 1,000 Chaos runs. And everyone says the same thing, the big top 5, which is basically the pits, Arcane Sanctuary, Chaos Sanctuary, what was the, no, of course I'm drawing a goddamn blank on this shit. That's the 3. Had them all on my goddamn mind, and I can't think of them all. What the hell was the other ones? Cows and Lower Kyros. Those are the big top 5. Everyone says, yeah, you gotta. Oh, excuse me, not cows. Travancore. Those are the big top 5, and everyone's like, you know, you gotta do these ones. You gotta do these ones. It may take you multiple times. 300 or 400 runs, but you're bound to get a high ruin. Blah 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 blah. That's all I hear out of one goddamn year at the other. Not once did I get a high ruin from any of those ones except for Lower Kyros, because that's standard area, which I've gotten Sur ruins, I've gotten Ohm ruins, I've gotten a low ruin, I've gotten a Vex ruin, I've gotten a Jaw ruin, I got my first Jaw ruin from there, I got my second Jaw ruin from the Travancore before you fight Mephisto in the Endurance of H level 3. I've gotten Cham ruin, I think, in Lower Kyros too. I've gotten a Cham ruin in Chaos Sanctuary from the Venom Lords, the boss Venom Lords. They dropped a Cham ruin, and it was like the only 2 ruins I needed were a Burr ruin. Oh, and I got a low ruin from Lower Kyros too. It was a Burr ruin and a Zod ruin. Looking it up, farming Pindleskin, farming Neolitech, not a single goddamn Burr ruin has ever dropped. And I'm like, great, I'm never going to be able to find a goddamn ruin. And I was looking for a ruin for 6 months, looking for a goddamn Burr ruin. And one of the videos I was watching, someone recommended one of just a random blue place. Hey, try farming the maggot layer. I thought it was kind of, might have been an okay idea. I mean, I was getting bored of the rest of the place. It's just continuously grinding. The second run into maggot layer, we got a goddamn Burr ruin. I'll put up like a photo or some crap like that just to prove it. But I was going there with an Orb Sorceress and bam. Now I'm on 1.14, so ruin drops are basically still the same. I know in Resurrected they've been increased, which I find kind of idiotic because that makes Resurrected more easier, especially when you add terror zones in there. It's just kind of like a whole different story. But finally got a goddamn Burr ruin. Technically, this would be my second time getting a Burr ruin, because the first time I actually had to make a Burr ruin through all my ruins in order to get my Enigma on my Hammerden. And so yeah, finally got a goddamn Burr ruin. I've been basically making more and more ruins to see if I can have enough. We made it all the way up to like a low ruin, that's about it, so I can't go any higher without wasting any more ruins. But I'm one Burr ruin away from making that goddamn infinity, and I still have all my ruins to make exile. And there was a vortex shield that dropped a couple of days back in Chaos Sanctuary when I was running like players 8 on my Hammerden, but it was only one socket and it wasn't ethereal, so I was like, oh, that sucks. But I'm so excited right now because we finally got the Burr ruin, so I want to express that. I posted on my Twitter and posted on my Discord, so it's finally happened. So the only ruin left we need is a Zod ruin, and I know in Resurrected, Zod ruin can drop in any terrorized zone. I guess they can drop in cows too. But in Diablo 2 Legacy or 1.14, whatever you want to call it, a Zod ruin can only drop in Act 5. Doesn't matter what level, what minions or whatnot, only in Act 5. So that's going to be my next hunt, is trying to find a goddamn Zod ruin. Just for shit and giggles. 2 other things that I've dropped in the pits when I was trying to farm for a goddamn Burr ruin. I managed to get the most rarest boots in the game, in my personal opinion, and it's a unique set of boots, and that's Shadow Dancers. Shadow Dancers are made for an assassin. They are made for a kicker assassin. They are the highest kick damage for any boots you can get in the entire game. They are a unique Myrmidon boots. Those things dropped last night when I was running the pits. And I end up getting another Druid helmet too. But, so I want to get that all away, express that out, let you guys finally know I finally got that goddamn Burr Rune. So I'm definitely going to be farming the Maggot Lair from here on out, try to get another Burr Rune. But we're like 5.5 minutes in. But we're going to start this walkthrough. So it's going to be a fire trap assassin, and I'll explain the reason why it's not very viable as much as you think. But see you guys in the walkthrough. Okay, so we're here. If I speak too fast or I seem out of breath, it's because I can't breathe on one side of my nose. I'm still congested from goddamn allergies and, still dealing with all that shit. So basically, we're going to be doing a fire assassin. I was debating if I wanted to go for more of like a challenge run, but I kind of want to save those for later on videos and just get like the basic videos out. The last assassin video we did was a martial arts kickerson, and they're not really made for PvE. They're made more for PvP, but we still managed to do it and kick Bell's ass. And Worry, shut the hell up. Okay, is it you? Who the hell talks to the assassin? Maybe it's Geed, because I don't think the assassin's the only dialogue is in Act 3. I don't think anyone else talks to him about that. But so we're gonna be doing a fire trap assassin. Now I pretty much had the gear pre-started out. Cindy's claws I was basically just setting aside for the longest period of time. We're basically gonna be rocking Angelic Set. Angelic Set is one of the most, I wouldn't say easiest, but it's also one of the most best early sets you can get on if you cannot get a hold of Saigons. And you may hear cars going by like that. I am expecting someone to drop by too, so if I have to exit the video, that's the reason why. You know what? Let me get my glasses real quick. Come to one of my videos, you're bound to be unprepared. Because I jump right in, so it's like, so it has a defense of 68. Now, if I remember correctly, if you put on like 3 parts of the set or the entire set, that defense is going to go up to like 400-ish. So it's a level 12 set, but like I said, if you can't go to hold of Saigons, I know even early on in BattleNet, Saigons is still going to be relatively expensive to get because everyone is going to be hogging that goddamn shit. Now, Resurrected, I have no idea because it's a whole different story, different ball game. They changed so much in Resurrected, they made the goddamn game so much easier. Now, you may notice a unique weapon that I'm holding. I'm using the Hellforge Hammer. Now, normally, you're supposed to use this damn thing for your normal, your nightmare, your hell, soulstones. I don't ever really bother thinking that crap anymore because I usually just do it off screen. So, I don't know where I randomly got this Hellforge Hammer, so I'm assuming it was some normal difficulty. But Hellforge Hammer and Kaleem's Flail and the Gibbon Dagger, I believe none of them have any actual level requirements or stat requirements. So they're pretty much free use. Same thing with their Heroic Staff too. I think they're the only unique items in the game that don't actually have required stats or levels in order to use them. So if you can get a hold of them until you can get that weapon you're looking for, keep them around. As long as you don't turn them in. So basically, we're going to be rocking the same thing with normally Fernand's Cranium. She's going to be using Angelic Sets, so that requires the armor, the sword, the amulets, and the rings. In Diablo 2, there's only 2 set rings, and that's Angelic and Cathans, which is kind of ass, in my opinion, because when you look at the amulets, there's like maybe 10 or 12 different set amulets, so trying to get that Telrush's amulet is going to be extremely difficult. But with the rings, you already know what you're going to get. It's either one or the other. Harris's boots and shield we're going to be using for that combination. Arctic's gear, always a standard. Arctic gear is just one of the beginning sets, is actually one of the better ones. It's more so made for an Amazon because the last piece is a bow, but you can technically use it for any other character. The only problem is I believe it's going to take like 45 dexterity in order to use the goddamn bow, even though it may be a level 2 item. So, and even with the sorceress, you still got to put points in there because her strength is like 10. So she's got the lowest amount of strength of any character in the game. So I do apologize for any of the sniffling of my congestion. So let's talk about the Fire Assassin. The Fire Assassin is not as viable as you may think. It will do pretty good early on in the beginning of the game. Like I always say, for Act 4, that's where you're going to struggle the most. That doesn't matter with any characters, but mostly for fire-based characters, you will always struggle the most because the enemies will always have higher fire resistance. So that means the Fire Assassin, the Fire Druid, the Fire Sorceress, the Fire Paladin, and the Fire Amazon. You're always going to struggle the most there because the resistances are always going to be the highest for the fire. That's why most people will go through Act 3 and then they'll immediately like reset to a lightning Trapson because they actually produce the most damage for that, especially when you get Infinity and you start farming like the Arcane Sanctuary. Now, when it comes to that, Chaos Sanctuary, the only two ones you're ever going to farm for the Chaos Sanctuary is going to be either with the Sorceress or Hammerman. You can use something like Summer Necromancers, which I eventually plan to do. It's a little slower, but you're going to live a lot longer. Now, you're not going to run it with an Amazon or a Lightning Trapson because that requires Infinity. And Infinity is a Ist. It's one of the most expensive rune words to get. It's one of the most expensive mercenary rune words to get. And people are very stingy when it comes to burr runes because they're as difficult as they are to get. So when you're usually playing Assassin, you're going to eventually go to a Lightning Assassin. So no matter what, Fire Blast is going to be one of your main ones. But then it's going to go to Shock Web, and then Charge Bolt Sentry, and then Lightning Sentry, Ram's Home, and then Death Sentry. Lightning Sentry is going to be your main one because that's going to produce the most. I believe if you have like 2 Sojos, a full set of whatever your gear you're planning on using, full thing of trap, GCs, torch, and analysts, you can do roughly maybe 12 to 13,000 per trap. Death Sentries, people really don't use them unless you're doing something like Chaos Sanctuary, but that's really about it. So, but with the Fire Assassin, you only have 3 ones. So you have Fire Blast, you have Wake of Fire, and you have Wake of Inferno. And I'm going to pause the video right here because I actually have to get the phone back to the fan. So we'll be right back. I do apologize. Okay, we're right back. So you may hear the fan in the background, so I do apologize. Whew. I'm trying to breathe here. But in other words, you have Fire Blast, you have Wake of Fire, and Wake Inferno. Wake of Fire is going to be a better one because it gives you the multiple hits. Wake of Inferno is more like a turret than anything else. So if the enemies get too close, they're going to get hit by just that Inferno. Wake of Fire is actually going to make multiple waves. So it's actually going to produce the most damage. And as you can see, it's only from 3. So you can max this out at level 60. Now, with that being that, you're not going to use martial arts because it's going to be completely useless. The only time you're really ever going to maybe even use martial arts, if you even decide to, is against fire immunes. And even then, you have a mercenary, you should have some sort of way of taking out fire immunes as it is anyways. Martial arts, like I said, is going to be, it's a very iffy thing, but most as trap assassins will never use martial arts. Now, for shadow disciplines, you can use something like Claw Mastery if you actually plan to go in there. There is stuff like J-Town, which is made for martial arts. There is Bartux, and Bartux is going to be your better one. There is Fire Lizard, which I believe is Claw or Scissor Guitar. I don't remember which one it is. It's actually one of probably the most rarest ones of them all to get. I don't think I even have those ones. It's actually made for the Fire Trapson, but I almost never see them. And then you have Weapon Block. Weapon Block is basically if you're going to decide to dual wield. usually with most assassins, you're not going to be dual wielding unless you somehow manage to get like 3 to traps, 2 assassin skills on each of your ones. Instead of replacing it with a spirit or whatever shield you plan to use, it's going to give you those additional skills. Shadow Warrior, and then there's Shadow Master. You can use them. They're kind of like Valkyrie for Amazon. They're just there as an extra protection in case you actually get mobbed up. Most people will not use them because they, especially with something like Shadow Master, it actually uses the same, or excuse me, rephrase that. Shadow Warrior uses the same skills your assassin has. So if you have nothing but fire traps, that's all the Shadow Warrior will use. It's nothing but fire traps. However, with Shadow Master will actually use every skill within the tree, which frankly can be somewhat kind of annoying because, especially when you have something like Cloak of Shadows, which actually dims down your light radius to completely like 0. So when you're in something like, say, like the Lost City, it's already dark enough to try to find out where those enemies are. And then you have your Shadow Master going, here, let me hit you with a Cloak of Shadows, and then you can't see nothing. Mind Blast is probably going to be one of your better ones. It allows you to actually stun a group of enemies up to a certain radius. It stuns them up for quite a while. I've never been a really big fan of it because I've always, when playing a trap assassin, I would usually just stick with the party, so I didn't really have to worry about it too much. Psychic Hammer, completely useless. It's basically like the assassin's version of telekinesis for a sorceress. Not going to be helpful whatsoever. Burst of Speed is really nice, especially early on in the game for running around, for increased attack speed, if you plan to be a physical martial art assassin. Otherwise, Burst of Speed is not really going to be that helpful because most of the times you're going to get either that type of form from either your gear or small charms. And then you have something like Fade. Fade is always good because one of the things you'll always notice Fade from is the rune word Treachery, which is made for an assassin. But it's also made to be put on mercenaries so that it reduces reduces curse duration and gives you resistances. And I want to say it gives you some sort of reduce to physical damage too. I'm completely wrong on that, but... And then there's Venom, which just gives you poison damage. Once again, completely useless unless you plan to play like a dual clawed, pure, melee martial arts assassin, which they actually do have that, and I believe Dragon Claw, I think it is. Yeah, both claws. So if you decide to play a Dragon Claw martial arts assassin, Venom is going to be one of your bigger ones. But since we're going to be playing a fire trap assassin, that's where we're going to go. There's a car outside, so it may be for me. I do apologize once again. Nope, maybe not. Okay, because like I said, I am expecting someone to show up. So let's start this. Like I said, you may hear the family in the background, so I do apologize. I think from now on, I might just start just dubbing in music because it'll pretty much block out even the noise in the background. So it's still trying to breathe. For mercenaries, Act 2 is still probably going to be your better one because when you're using the trap assassin, you're going to keep distance. You're not really going to be up there in the front lines. So an Act 2 mercenary is always going to be your best. If you do plan to use something like Shadow Mastery or Shadow Warrior, then an Act 1 mercenary may be your best one there because they'll at least keep somewhat the front line. Act 3 mercenaries, people really don't tend to use that much. I think they pretty much made them better in Resurrected. Same thing with Act 5 mercenaries. Act 5 mercenaries in original Diablo 2 1.14 are complete ass because they can't use mauls. They can use somewhat barbarian gear. They cannot dual wield. They can only use swords, so they can't use axes either, which is one of the most stupidest things that Blizzard has ever done. Oh, it's my neighbor backing up. Just seen this big old pile of snow and some windows. I'm like, what the hell's going on outside? So, Act 2 is always going to be your most viable one. And now, if you're going to get an Act 2 mercenary, which Act 2 mercenary are you going to want to go with? Well, you have Act 2 mercenaries have Might, Blessed Aim, Prayer, Defiance, Holy Freeze in Thorns, I believe. Holy Freeze is always going to be your best because it's going to stall them out. It's going to help your mercenary out a bit too. That's really going to be the only viable one because you're not going to be getting up there for close quarters. What the hell is my neighbor doing? I do apologize. I'm distracted by my neighbor. So yeah, Holy Freeze, Active Mercenary is going to be your best friend there. So, but otherwise, another reason why people do not play Fire Assassins is because once you reach Nightmare mode, that's where most enemies are going to start becoming immune to fire, especially when you start entering the Chaos Sanctuary, where Oblivion Knights are going to be your first enemy that's going to start being immune to fire. That right there alone is going to make your Trap Assassin completely useless. And once you start reaching to Hell difficulty, almost everything is either immune to fire or lightning. And I learned that the hard way when I played my first Fire Druid, and on single player, got all excited, it was my first Druid, and got to Hell difficulty, and then realized everything was immune to fire. And it was completely goddamn useless, so there was that too. Other ways you're really going to get past that is, like I said, unless you plan to use something like Shadow Mastery and with your Merc, or if you plan to get into martial arts. Otherwise, you are going to struggle in Hell difficulty if you try to do that. But we only play on normal difficulty as it is, so I don't really have to worry about it too much. So, stat-wise, well, we're going over that now. Much strength as you need to wear gear. Dexterity is probably going to be your biggest one because most claws are going to take the equal amount of like 45 strength, 45 dexterity. If you plan on using shield, you want at least somewhat of max block rate. You're going to put the rest of your points into vitality. Because traps use multiple attacks, especially I think it's like 10 or 12 attacks from Lightning Century, and then it's like 5 or 10 for fire traps. Mana is not really going to be a really huge thing for you early on, but lightning traps will tend to be the most expensive. So you want to at least have some gear that's going to at least either replenish your mana or it's going to give you additional mana. So stuff like rings like Malad's Ring, which gives you magic, gives you mana and gives you some form of mana regeneration. It's really going to help you out a lot. So let me get a drink here real quick. I apologize. So that's all that. I try to squeeze all this information in, so it's kind of like a walkthrough slash guide, in a sense. How are we even doing fire damage? Does this actually give fire damage? Oh, it does too. Huh. Alright, cool. But yeah, so I think we'll pretty much just start dubbing like music in there, because like I said, it'll clear out the background noise and like that too. So I'm gonna definitely try to find some new non-copyright music we can start listening to and put in the videos. So, and I can just adjust from there. Unless you guys want me to keep in the actual Diablo music, then we'll keep that in there too. But try to prefer not to keep any of the background noise as best as possible, because like I said, Yeti mic picks up everything. So I got like the little voice debuffer there, and I got like the styrofoam little mouth cover there too. Try to eliminate any background noise as best as possible on the mics. And Yeti's just like, I pick up everything. It's like, thanks. As usual, once we start being able to use most of our gear, or at least early on the second gear, we'll switch over to player 7 as usual. So, because it's only fair, to play on player 7. Hardest difficulty you can actually basically play on, because we're, using preset gear as it is. We're not actually struggling to find it. I am thinking about doing more Uber runs too. I pretty much was farming up Neolithic last night. Died on my Paladin. It's the one thing about the Paladin with playing the Hammerden is you're constantly blocking with your Hammerden, so trying to teleport away and then switch over your concentration, having his attacks continuously like block while you're trying to teleport away, it continuously stun locks your Paladin. Well, Neolithic finally killed me with that goddamn crap last night because I was trying to teleport away, and he has Tomb Vipers in there, which are immune to lightning and poison. But unlike regular Vipers in Hell difficulty that use Bone Spear, they use Poison Spears. and each one attack alone is like doing like 200 or 300 poison damage per second. So it literally starts to wear down your health very quickly, and by the time I tried to teleport away, I end up dying. So I was really pissed about that. And then I was farming him with my lightning sorceress last night, trying to farm keys, and then end up dying again because that poison kept wrecking me. Just like, no. Neolitech he's not difficult, but he's extremely deadly to go against, especially with his goddamn corpse explosion. But since then we got preset gear here, let me put this into player 7. Make sure we're still recording. Alright. But yeah, so that's it. Get Fireless. I'm not getting this to what level? Level 12? Wow. Okay, that's not gonna be recorded well. Claw Mastery. I might put a point in it later on in the game. I'm not gonna worry about it now. Burst of Speed you definitely want to pick up later on too. So, and then Martial Arts not really gonna worry about. So, but we end up being like farming up like 5 keys of destruction. I still have like 4 keys of terrors left and like 3 keys of hate.
Perfect.
So I need like 1 more key of destruction and then like a couple more keys for the other ones, and then we can start doing overs again. That allows at least do over at least 2 times, and then I should be able to get 2 more torches. So, and then we'll try to go for either paladin or a source torch. So. But for anyone who's actually struggling to farm Neolitech, my best thing is if you plan to farm him with a sorceress, do not play a cold sorceress, because almost all his minions are going to be immune to cold, and he can be immune to cold himself. Last I checked, he can be immune to lightning and poison. He can be immune to fire and lightning. I haven't seen him be immune to cold just yet, but he has high magic resistance. He can teleport. But basically, in a sense, as you can see what my mini-map looks like right now, that's basically kind of what his room kind of looks like when you go to take on Neolitech. So usually he'll be like right here in the middle. So as long as you stand over here and use chain lightning, if you're playing a lightning sorceress, and just continuously spam that on his minions will eventually die, and he will not have any corpses. Well, he'll have corpses to try to use corpse explosion, but what you do is that once you kill him off, you teleport to the other side of the room where a bunch of the corpses are over here, not over here, and then you start attacking him with the regular lightning, because that's going to hit the most hardest. The other thing with Neolitech is that he does have the ability to actually spawn his own minions, so you have to be very careful about that. I found that out the hard way last night when I was trying to take him out, and he kept teleporting, and then I'd seen him randomly just spawn in a minion. And well, he'll do that. He'll continuously spawn those minions in until the point where he gets enough of them. After you start killing them, he starts using corpse explosion on you. And corpse explosion is fire and physical, and it does a certain % of damage, and it can kill you. I have basically max block rates with like 3100 health on my Hammerman, and he almost 2-shot me. So that was like just with a bunch of corpses. So you do have to be extremely careful with Neolitech, because even with the most bulkiest characters like the Barbarian, who can hit like 5000 HP, he will kill you in several hits if you're not careful enough. So that's why usually most people who play Hammerman, like I was doing, I would try to lure his minions away, and then when he had the least amount, I'd go in there and teleport right up on him and then start using hammers. But because he has high magic resistance, hammers is not exactly do very much, because I have like, with my bow, like 11k hammers, and they were barely touching him at player 7. Mostly because on player 7, that's when he has the highest key chance drop too, so kind of makes him somewhat annoying, but... This is where, like, traps would come in really handy, but... This video is gonna be like 20 minutes, or a little over 20 minutes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna knock out Den of Evil, and then we're gonna end the video there, because the first intro of me talking about the burrow and all that crap, it's already like 5.5 minutes, so it's gonna push over like a 20-minute video. This little crap's annoying. Oh, you little bastards. Fire Blast is basically like a small little AoE. It's not going to do much damage in the beginning of the game, but it can stack up to the point where it would start one-shotting these guys. But because we're playing player 7, they're going to have more health and do more damage. So I always want to be careful with that. And if anyone is actually playing on Diablo Resurrected, or who is a veteran on Diablo Resurrected, let me know what is a good, I'm guessing it's either ED or it's level conviction. What is a good one for on Infinity? Because if I can get me another burrow, I plan on making Infinity. But I have no idea what one would be. I mean, I had one like traded back when original Diablo 2 was still basically a thing. It still is now. This is the crap I'm talking about. He's surrounded to you little shits. It's like, we're not gonna make this easy on you. We're gonna hug right between the mini boss. I've traded High Ruins for Infinity back in the day, but never actually made Infinity myself because getting burr runes is just too damn expensive. Whether you're trading them, whether you're trying to find them, you know, they are very time consumption ruin to get, and they're not easy. But that's Den of Evil. So I'm gonna edit this video, get it all rendered, and try to relax somewhat because my knee is killing me. Having psoriatic arthritis in the middle of winter time is not fun. But that's kind of like I said. Basically, these kind of like guides and walkthroughs. Challenge runs are eventually going to be later on once we actually finish up, you know, the guides and walkthroughs for these different characters for the original Diablo 2 1.14. Resurrected, like I said, I know they've upped different skills, they give them more buffs, they've taken stuff away, so if you're more into the original Diablo 2 one, then this will be the kind of guide walkthrough for you. After that, we'll start doing challenge runs, and then after that, I actually have more content for Diablo 2 that I plan on doing. But either way, stay safe, health is antis, make sure to like, subscribe, comments below, and I'll make sure to check them all out. Alright, see you guys.